Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today again. Welcome to the Christmas reviews this week. I just reviewed Scrooged with Bill Murray. It's a horror comedy from the 80s. I also have another film here that's a straight-up slasher from the 80s. I had heard about it like 2 years ago. I never got around to watching it just because December's typically pretty busy for me. I watch a lot of Christmas stuff. My wife and I go out to get a Christmas tree with her dad and for us. There's a lot of decorating to go on. In the house and outside of the house, that kind of thing. We stay pretty busy. We spend a lot of time watching Hallmark and older classic Christmas movies we love so much, so my wife and I stay super busy with this type of thing at this time of the year. So when I started reviewing horror movies last year for this channel, when I hit Christmas time, I decided to do that as well. It will pretty much, God willing, be the kind of tradition this channel will always have, of like summertime movies and Christmas movies and that kind of thing. We finally hit that time of the year, like I said in my previous video, and I hope you're ready for this review, because I've not really known anything about this film. I even didn't look at the IMDb page until after I finished watching the movie just now. I started it a couple of days ago. I didn't really get a whole lot of time to watch it. I've been trying to get back in the gym, so I've spent more time there than really doing anything else, including watching Christmas movies. Technically, we're still in November, so, you know, because I'm recording this before Friday, so I don't know by dates if that's December 1st or not, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Anyway, today's review is going to be for a 1980 movie called To All a Goodnight, which is a really cool title. I really like that, and I love the poster for this film, the one from the thumbnail that I have with like the actual school itself from this movie, and then that floating face. That's so spooky. It has nothing to do with the film. It reminds me a lot of Fright Night before Fright Night even existed. But man, it's a great poster. To All a Goodnight. This film is about an hour and 27 minutes long, and again, it came out in 1980. I don't really know what to say about this. Coming out a few years after Halloween in 1978, this is kind of part of that massive slasher craze that was going on at the time, and this is very much a similar movie to Friday the 13th in a lot of ways. If you've seen Friday the 13th, which I think many of you have if you're watching this video, you probably already have seen that a billion times for God's sake, and probably never have seen this one. There's a lot of oddly striking similarities between the two, but if you see the film, let me know what you think about it down in the comment section down below. Anyway, To All a Goodnight is obviously a Christmas movie. You essentially have kind of a girls-only school that at this particular part of the Christmas season, everybody went home, everybody went back to their parents and whatever, and there's like a group of girls that stayed at the school who just decide to hang out there. They also have a housekeeper lady, whatever she would be called, the mother of the house, something like that, who does the cleaning, does the cooking, does all that kind of stuff to try to prepare. Kind of like a maid, a little bit, but kind of not, more respected because it's a private kind of girls-only school. So these girls are not very innocent. Years before, there was initiation at that school that they were a part of, that a young girl fell off a balcony and died, so they all don't really care about that. They don't really have any kind of guilt about that. I'm not even sure that all of them were there for that. I could be wrong. It's really not brought up as much as it is, or as it should be, in the movie to be the prologue of the film. And by the end of the film, it should matter a whole lot more. Anyway, that's not really a big spoiler either. Like I said, that happens in the first 5 minutes of the movie. So, basically, these girls invite some guys over. One of them does, at least. She invites her boyfriend. He brings a bunch of his friends, kind of one for every girl. And they come over there, and they're kind of just having a party. You know, they're going to party for a few days. The film takes place over a couple of days. And all of a sudden, people start getting murdered. And it's not like a severe, like everybody's dying left and right at the very beginning. It's kind of, over the course of the movie, this is starting to happen more and more, in typical mysterious fashion. And there's somebody, as we get more revelations throughout the movie, that's dressing up as Santa Claus and killing people. And that's pretty much all I really want to tell you. Yeah, it's kind of like a Silent Night, Deadly Night type of thing. This might have come out before that. I can't remember when Silent Night, Deadly Night came out. I think that was 81, 82, 83, somewhere in there. But regardless, I think that film did it better than this movie did, because this film feels like just a kind of a cash-in of the subgenre, if you will. Not just a horror cash-in, but just a cash-in of the subgenre of slasher that Halloween had popularized a few years beforehand, like I said earlier. It seems to me like they really wanted to jump in there, take a Christmas theme idea, and the Christmas portion of this is not as present as I would have liked it. I would have liked more snow, I would have liked more decorations, instead of just a random Christmas tree in a hotel-looking building that's supposed to be a school. Where are the classrooms? Where do these classes take place at this supposed, not really a boarding school, but like a, it's not even like a college, it's just like a private high school type of thing, but not even a private high school. It's very hard to describe. It's not really a school, it's just a house they must have rented for this, or a house of a producer or something like that. Anyway, let's talk about the characters briefly. When I say there's not a whole lot to the acting, I kind of mean it. There's really one person in this film that's really, really good, and then there's one who's okay, who happens to be our main character. I believe her name is Nancy. She's a young blonde-headed girl, wears pigtails in her hair for some reason. I don't know. I like her. I think she's genuinely nice. The best performance in the film, in my opinion, because of how reserved it has to be most of the time, because of the position she's in as a character, as the kind of maid herself, is that older lady that's the only real supervisor that's working as a staff member at the school during this time and kind of taking care of these girls, making them meals. She seems sweet, but the girls kind of try to go beyond her over things, like try to go, under her nose about stuff. They tell her, for example, at one point, go to bed early, we'll take care of the dishes. Do they plan on doing that? Probably not. Her performance is really good. I really like her a lot. Let's talk about the other characters, I guess. There's really not much to them. Like I said, there's not a whole lot to get from the acting. There's not really a whole lot from the script to begin with, because the writing is not very strong at all in the film. There's a couple of nice moments here and there for the kills. That's more of a special effects department thing, but we'll get there when we get there. But a lot of the dialogue is kind of, again, on that Friday the 13th level. It's really not that special. It's okay. It's got some memorable moments. But other than that, like eventfulness and whatnot, we really don't have a whole lot going on here. Another part of the writing that really bothers me is the fact that, once again, you have a couple of police officers here when the murders start happening to try to protect these girls and the staff member and whatever. And they're completely useless. Like, some of the situations the cops get into, mainly with the one out in the yard, you would think that he would think if he saw somebody wearing a Santa outfit walking up to him, he'd be like, hey, stop right there, empty your hands, No. Stupid decision after stupid decision are the things that the characters of this film decide to make all the time. It's kind of annoying. If that bothers you a lot, and you kind of look down on horror because of that, you're going to look down on this film a whole lot too. You probably won't get as much enjoyment as I got, as little as I did get. Let's talk about the look of the film, the cinematography, the directing, all of that. It's fine. It's fine by that time's standard. It's kind of, it's just okay. It doesn't really look super cheap, but to not have snow and whatever, because I'm assuming of the filming at the time and wherever the location was they were filming at, to me it seems very obvious it was lower budget in that fashion. But the look of the movie, the directing choices for certain angles, again, it's not beyond something like Friday the 13th or like Halloween. It seems like it's kind of limited to what it can do based on its budget in the 1980s, right outside of the 70s in 1980. And that's fine. That's fine. I don't really have an issue with that. I kind of make a little bit of an exception in my brain for something like that at that time. It's kind of like when you watch a lot of old black and white movies, they don't really have a whole lot of moving camera motions because of how blurry it would have made the shots. It's fairly understandable, I think, most of the time, depending on what we're talking about. But all that's fine. It doesn't really bother me as much as I think it'd bother more modern audiences, more people who watch typically more modern horror. It might be more of a problem for you, not so much for me. Let's look at special effects. Alright, so I talked about this briefly. The writing and the setup for the kills in this movie, being a slasher film, you're going into it for, whether it be likable or unlikable characters, whichever one you are as a fan of horror, if you're kind of wanting to root for characters, or if you just want to hate them so you can watch them die and hope they die. I don't really know where you stand on that. The writing's not really strong one way or another for that. However, with the kill setups, what are they like? Well, I would say personally, it's not the greatest setups. They're kind of random sometimes. Sometimes they're set up for kills, one involving a shower that's, it's a little too sleazy, but a little bit like, I don't know, not creative. Is that the word I'm looking for? A little uncreative. I don't know. It seems like a lot of it's just kind of generic slasher fodder. Even at that time, 3 years after Halloween's popularization of the subgenre, slasher's been coming out so much, and they came out so much through the 80s. It's kind of undeniable how there's a lot of them that just don't have any kind of real creativity and surprises to them. And this one's no exception to that. However, the special effects themselves, they do try sometimes. I think a lot of the times when the kills are on screen, you do have some cool stuff. There's one kill that should have been better than it was. It involved... I'm not going to tell you, actually. I don't want to go there. But it involves a blade. A couple of blades. And if you see the film, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll get it. You'll get where I'm referencing this. If you have seen the film, you probably get what I'm talking about. If you remember this kind of generic movie. There are some moments that should be more fun, should be more visual when it comes to those special effect kills. But for what we got, I didn't hate it for 1980. As a matter of fact, I think some of it looks better than, like, Friday the 13th. I think some of the kills in, like, Silent Night, Deadly Night are better and more effective, especially more effective. But this is fine for what it was. It's not tremendously gory, but it does have a little decent amount of gore to it. If you want to show this to a younger family member or whatever, or somebody who's not super invested in horror or slashers or anything like that, if they're super squeamish, it's not really going to get them as bad, I think. Maybe one kill, but it's kind of off-screen, so it doesn't really count. But anyway, that's really all I have to say. The special effects are kind of up in the air. It's alright. Alright, the music. The music, I think, is fine. It's kind of generic 1980s. We're trying our best not to sound like porn in a sub-genre slasher horror movie type of music. And that's kind of what you get here. It's fine. You don't really get any renditions of, like, Jingle Bells and horror or anything like that, the way Krampus did. But, when I look at the music, I don't hate it. That's what I'm really trying to say. And that's kind of how I feel about the movie overall. There's a lot of things in here I appreciate. I like what they did with certain things. But was I really invested? I'm going to be honest with you, no. For the last couple of days of trying to watch this film and fit in the gym time and all of that, I just couldn't care less about this movie. It's not that it's bad. It's not that it's unwatchable. It's just, I didn't really have a whole lot that I cared about in the movie. But what I did like a lot, I do think. It's fine. It's fairly watchable. If you're a slasher fan. If you're not a slasher fan and you're looking for, like, atmosphere and whatever, there's maybe, like, one scene in the entire film with a little bit of atmosphere, but by the end of the film, with how muddled the scripts get, how muddled the plot twists get in the movie, especially the final one of the film, by the time you get to all of those things, it's a little too messy, and it kind of ruins the film. The writing is a little bit all over the place by the time the third act takes place. It is what it is. But anyway, with that being said, to all a good night. Do I recommend the film? If you're a big slasher buff, which I kind of am, you might like it. You might like it more than me. You might like it a lot less than I did. Wow, it's bright outside. It hasn't been like this all day. It's been raining all day since I got up, and just in the last, like, half hour, it's just blaring sun. And now it's gone. Thank you, God. So, would I recommend this to anybody who's not a slasher fan? Probably not. Probably not. I don't think it's going to be up your alley. I don't think you'll find really any enjoyment for it. But people like myself, I found some things to like. I didn't hate it at all. I don't feel like I wasted my time. I watched it on Shudder, by the way. It was fine. For an hour and like 20 minutes, it's fine. I didn't have any issues with it, really. I don't really know what else to tell you. It's just it's something to watch if you're looking for a Christmas-themed horror film. It's not on the level of something like Krampus or like... Misery, if you consider that a Christmas horror film. Some people do, some people don't. Or like The Thing, even though it's really just an Antarctic movie that could take place any time of the year because it's always snowy there. If you consider something like John Carpenter's The Thing or The Thing from Another World, the old original Howard Hawks movie, a Christmas-time film because of the snow, that's up to you. But I wouldn't put it on the level of something like those, you know? Certainly not, especially the John Carpenter The Thing. But for me, I didn't hate it. I had my moments with it. It was fine. That's just my opinion. I don't really have a whole lot more to say. I was wishing for a lot more. I was hoping for a lot more. I was hoping with how many times I've seen this pop up here and there on, like, YouTube as a recommendation for somebody who put this thing up like 12 years ago on YouTube. I was hoping between seeing things like that and seeing it listed on Shudder that I'd kind of have more hopes that this would be a better, more fun to watch movie. But overall, it's kind of generic. It's kind of a disappointment for me, even as a slasher fan. But anyway, when it comes to All a Good Night, good title, good poster, good moments, but overall a mess. I have to give it like a 2 out of 5 stars when it comes to rating it. I'd give it a 2 out of 5 stars. That's really all I can't really give it a 3. I kind of debated on that, but I was like, this isn't something like, for the time when it was well made, it's not like to the level of where I could see more atmosphere or whatever. If it had more, then it would have been a 3, but overall, for me, I can't do it. Anyway, 2 out of 5 stars for me for To All a Good Night. Have you guys seen this film? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Put all your thoughts and comments down below. I would love to hear what you have to say about this movie. So, over the next few weeks, I think we have like 4 or 5 weeks in December this year. I'm going to try to get out, of course, every week like I used to do back in the day. I'm going to get like 2 reviews a week for you pretty much every Friday if I can try to designate it to that or Thursday night, somewhere in there. Me working second shift, it's kind of hard to get an upload schedule. It might be Friday evening. You never know sometimes with me. It might be a late Friday night, like Saturday morning at like 12 a.m. or something. You never know. But it's going to be kind of a busy week. My wife's grandmother passed away. We're going to have some stuff to do this weekend, so I'm going to be a little bit kind of hectic. Schedule's going to be a little messed up. Probably not so much for this channel as it will be the other channel, the Goosebumps channel that I run, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, 2 out of 5 stars for me. What do you think about To All a Good Night? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say below. I hope you'll subscribe and check out the future videos when I do some more Christmas-themed horror movies here soon. I have a few things picked out. I hope to talk about them. I hope there'll be something fun you guys will enjoy. But we will see what happens with that. Because there are some I don't think people would think of to really discuss too often. There's not a whole lot of Christmas horror out there. People say there are, but there's really not. Especially when you get outside of like the Silent Night, Deadly Night movies or whatever. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. God bless you all. Merry Christmas. I can say that even though it's not December technically yet, because it's not December for me as I record this, like I said. Merry Christmas. God bless you guys. Goodbye.